So the first question is, who are you and what do you do?
Okay, so my name's Jon Campagna. I am a deputy chief with the Leominster Fire Department. And so that's what I do for a living. The details of my job on a daily basis vary from responding to fires and medical emergencies to code enforcement based on violations reported to the office. And then I also do fire investigation and things of that nature. So that's what I do. City of Leominster provides EMS pre-hospital care to all citizens, and it also provides their fire suppression and their fire investigation needs as well. So
That's pretty cool.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that sounds important.
well, it's good. It's a good job. You get to help people on a regular basis, which is good. You know. So
So my dad told me that you were in the military.
I was, yeah, yeah.
What branch were you in?
I was in the Marines from 2006 to 2000. Oh, let me take that back. 2005 to 2011. So, yeah,
What was that like for you?
very good. A lot of good life experiences. A lot of, you know, the military is great because it kind of builds on your strengths and kind of irons out your weaknesses. And oftentimes weaknesses you might not even realize you had. You know, we all have them, but it kind of it does that for you, and it kind of it gives you a purpose driven and service driven mindset. You know what I mean? So I was a sergeant in the Marines. My MOS was air support operator, which what you do is you're kind of a dispatch center of fixed wing and helo aircrafts to troops on the ground that need medical evacuations, airstrikes, or casualty evacuations. So that's what my job was stateside. When I got deployed, I was part of a provincial security company, which was an infantry. It was an infantry deployment. So we were trained by infantrymen prior to going over there. And basically, the details of my deployment at the time was in support of Operation Enduring Freedom, and we were stationed in Djibouti for our deployment, which is in the Horn of Africa. And basically, it was security at gate guards and going on patrols and providing quick reaction force and stuff like that. So that's what we did over there. Yeah. So that's it. But it was good. A very, very good experience. I wouldn't trade it in for anything in the world.
A lot of people, some of the people that I interview, a lot of them say that the military is a very good experience for them.
Yeah, I would agree. I'd agree with that 100%. It builds character, strength, and it strengthens you, and it builds off the strengths you already have. And you create a lot of friendships that last a lifetime too. You know, so yeah.
But so what skills have helped you the most in becoming the man you are today?
Having two loving parents, first of all, is a big thing. That's very easy when you get parents who are very present and very involved with your life and prove that they care about your well-being. Good neighbors and neighborhoods as well contributed to that. I grew up in a neighborhood of about, there must have been 50 kids in the neighborhood with similar families and stuff like that. So it was kind of one of those things. It's like, if I went over to the Arquilla's house, I was just as accountable if I went over to my house because all the parents were on the same page looking out for each other. So it's not like, if I went over to play with Mike, we could get away with something over his house that wouldn't be able to get away with over mine. No, it was kind of like when you get that many like-minded families in one neighborhood, it's kind of, all the parents play a role. So that was it. And then my faith too. I'm a Christian, so I have a strong belief in God that gets you through. I mean, personally, that gets me through a lot of stuff easier, I think, than if I didn't have faith. You know what I mean? And then as far as like the service driven, the military. And then I coached for years, which you kind of figure out how different people click and how to get players working towards a common goal. So that helps a lot as far as you have to understand how all types of different people operate. And then what the military does is it kind of gives you a service, a service driven mindset. So mindset, I would say, is the biggest thing. Once you've you kind of before you join the military or any service driven thing, you join it for the right reasons, because you want to serve and you want to care for people, you want to help people. Then once you actually get out there and you start doing it, you see the importance of it, and that kind of frames the mindset moving forward. So I'd say above all else, like the skills you learn by going to the academy or talking to people who've been on the job for years, which certainly helps and brings you kind of a reservoir of solutions to problems. I'd say just the mindset in general. If you get a mindset of helping people, when all the skill set fails and you encounter a situation maybe you've never encountered before, your mind's going to go to that place to how to figure out how to help people, even though you might not have seen this situation before or trained for the situation before. So I guess that's the answer to that.
Yeah. Those seems like very important skills to have in life. Very helpful to
Def,
you and to helpful to other people. So
I, yeah, I'd agree with that. Yeah.
just curious though, did you coach? What sports did you coach?
I coach basketball. Basketball's the sport I coach. So I got my first job as a coach, and I was approached when I was like 20 years old. I coached a middle school basketball team. Then I've coached everything from middle school to high school, and I've coached boys and girls. And yeah, I love the sport of basketball. I was a decent player, but I'd say I was probably a better coach than I was a player. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So yeah,
basketball is pretty great. Yeah,
yeah,
I play. Yeah,
that's good.
but
That's good.
I love basketball. I like baseball too, but basketball is just a little bit better.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with that. I like baseball a lot too, but I like basketball more. That's probably my favorite.
So, did being a veteran or a firefighter help you prepare for being a dad to your kids?
So I guess the way I would answer that is I was a dad first. So I think being a dad in ways helped me prepare to be a firefighter, right? Because when you or a military, but I was a father before I joined the military, and I was a father before I joined the fire department. So
Yeah,
having those things, when you have that was a very good, that's a profound question. And I guess the answer to that is it for me is the opposite. So having a child that you're responsible for on your own, and you care about their well-being and stuff like that, you're obligated. It creates an obligation to you to care for them. So when you join the military, you have to put others first, certainly. So that kind of gives you a real life preparation to do so prior to joining the service or getting on the fire department. So I think that helped me, where more so than had I not been a father first. Maybe I would have had to gone through some more bumps along the way of working that out. You know what I mean? But that
yeah,
was already there beforehand. So yeah, that's a great question.
thanks. So, when you were our neighbor, you drove an
Yeah,
ambulance, and now you're what did you say, deputy in chief?
yeah. I'm a deputy chief. Yeah.
Because what made you want to move up from the ambulance to the deputy in chief you are now?
Sure. So when I first I the Leominster Fire Department's changed a lot even since I got on coming up on 14 years ago now, where we have two ambulances now versus one, and we at the time we had Pikeman two, so I had actually moved up off the ambulance for a while to a hydrant job at Engine 3. And basically, once you move up, everyone starts on the ambulance in the Leominster Fire Department, and once you
Yeah.
get so many years on or so many people under you get on, then you move up just naturally without having to take promotional exams. And basically, you're the senior man off the ambulance, then you're the most junior man on any of the other pieces. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so you get knocked back down pretty quickly to the ambulance again if someone's out sick or something like that. So basically, it was more what made me want to promote and take a promotional exam. Probably there was a need, number one, the opportunity, number two, and the chance to lead, number three. There was a need for it. So I was like, yeah, I think my prior experiences helped me be that type of leader, even though at the time when I took the first promotional exam I took was with only 5 years on. I took the promotional exam to be a lieutenant. I thought at that time, given the lieutenant I had in charge of me at the fire department, his name was Tony LaFave. He was an excellent lieutenant, very smart, very conscientious, and he very much wanted to train me, and I very much wanted to train. So having that type of officer in charge of me, I knew he prepared me well. And then in addition to that, my prior leadership experiences to coming on, I think I had enough time to take the opportunity to fill that position. So that's what made me want to do that. And then similarly, when I took the deputy chief's exam, which in Leominster, that's the next rank up from lieutenant. Other communities have lieutenants, then captains, and deputy chiefs, and maybe others in between, other ranks in between. Leominster goes from firefighter to lieutenant to deputy chief, and then chief. But I decided to take that opportunity because I worked as an engine company officer. I worked as a ladder company officer. And again, I was under enough leadership and worked enough various jobs that I thought my prior experience allowed me to prepare for taking that next promotional exam. There was an opportunity, so I took, and there was a need, so I took it. So that's why I decided to do that.
It always helps to have like a mentor or somebody higher than you that helps you figure out how to do something like that and
Yeah,
how to lead people. And
no
so,
doubt.
yeah.
Yeah.
But how does it feel as a firefighter or as a veteran going towards danger and not away from it?
So again, it's kind of like mindset, right? So when I was a firefighter and a company officer and a Marine, it's kind of like people would ask me that question, like, what are you thinking about, like going to a call? You don't really think of that aspect of it. You don't really think of, okay, I'm going into, subconsciously, it's dangerous, and
Yeah,
but you have a mission at hand where there was so many times where I came back and you don't think about it till after you're like, geez, I didn't, like, while you're responding, at least for me anyway, that stuff's not going through my head because I'm making sure I'm prepared to go in and I'm spending so much time in my head between like sizing up, listening, and going, okay, what's the situation? What do we have to bring? Making sure I'm prepared and to go into that situation that you don't really think about the gravity of a situation or the danger of a situation until maybe after you get back and you talk about it. You know what I mean? So in time, it's in real time while responding, it doesn't really occur to you when you're in that mindset. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Afterward, when you get through, you realize it when you take a rest and you realize your heart rate's up. Like, no one I noticed it. So when I noticed it as a firefighter lieutenant is when we'd be going to, like, responding to report of a building fire, and you're
yeah,
getting ready to prepare like this, and then all of a sudden we'd be canceled en route because it turned out not to be. So they'd scale down the response, and then, like, you feel your heart is racing and you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't even realize my heart rate was up that much. So that's when you realize it. But other than that, it doesn't really occur to you while you're in it because of the prior training that you've had coming into it. You know what I mean?
you're focused on responding to the situation, not really reacting to it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. A lot of the stuff we do, we train beforehand, so it's kind of like that's ingrained in you. So you just you don't it doesn't hit you till after everything's over. After everything's over. So yeah,
Training always helps with that kind of stuff too, because you already know what to do. You've been through it a lot. Because,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
But so, what do you think are important traits to have for working as a firefighter?
I think first and foremost, you got to care about people. You got to care about the people that you're serving and the people around you first. If you have that, everything else will fall into place. You got to have the value of helping people and serving people. And once you have that, then the skills will fall in place, and you'll seek to, okay, how can I better do that? How can I better help people and serve people? And you'll develop the skills you need either from strategies and tactics, or taking courses, or reading a book, or talking to a senior guy who shares the same values. But I think having the correct values and being service oriented is the most important thing to start.
Those caring about people is a big thing because firefighters are there to save people from danger. So you have to care about people to have that drive to become a firefighter.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's a sounds very important to becoming a firefighter. So, what is your favorite part about being a firefighter?
Helping people.
Yeah,
Helping people. So that's the biggest thing. Um, yeah, and then a close second would be just hanging out with the guys, and bonding, and because you got to bond in order to you work with each other every day. You gotta bond. You gotta be on the same page at the part of emergency. Good example. My chief just came in and was joking around outside the glass doors. But you gotta be able to do that. You work together every day, and you have to help people. So you gotta bond and all that stuff. But yeah, it's the camaraderie is very good. Helping people's number one, and then the camaraderie is second. It definitely gets you, in addition to, because it's our own. We respond to a lot of emergencies, so we have to talk to people about it too. You know what I mean? If we have a bad call, and I think the best way to do that is just talking to each other. So we
yeah.
have that built-in support group that a lot of other people don't have, which is very, very, very good, very beneficial, and it helps.
That's one of my favorite part about sports is the team. Like I love the sport, but the team is like definitely amazing to have.
Yeah.
It feels like you can talk to them about anything.
Yeah, and you kind of just, I'm glad you said that. Teamwork is the most important thing of how we're able to be successful, and having that support system, very much like a traditional sports team, is so valuable, so valuable.
Yeah. But what is your least favorite part?
My least favorite part about the job, um, gosh, that's a tough one to answer. Well, so it's just like anything else. You know what I mean? Like honestly, so
Yeah.
the downtime, because when we have downtime, that's when people get bored and start looking for reasons to maybe reasons to complain when there's really not that much of a reason to complain. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So boredom and downtime, it can be our downfall. That's why it's very, very important to be oriented to the mission and trained to the mission first, and try to maximize downtime where it's a positive experience, rather than allowing it to become focused on stuff that doesn't really matter. So downtime is definitely the worst part of the
Yeah.
job.
Yeah. So what was your training like?
The training, it was very, very good. The so for the Marines, we did 13 weeks of basic training at Paris Island, and Marine Corps. What they teach you, because there's not as many compared to other branches of the military. they teach us to be riflemen first, even if that's not your MOS. So we had 13 weeks of basic training that every Marine gets at Paris Island. And then we went to Marine Corps combat training, which is a streamlined version of the School of Infantry. And don't, I hate even comparing it, because if you talk to 0311 guys or 0365 guys, it's not the School of infantry comparatively. They go through 6 months of training after basic training. That's their schooling and stuff. Like, we get a slimmed down version that are taught by the SOI guys. So that was very valuable. It's excellent. You learn a lot of skills. And then fire department too, we went through 12 weeks of basic training at the Massachusetts Fire Academy, where you just learn a basic set of skills. And to me, the basics are the most important. You know what I mean? You got to practice those every day. You know, you to stay on top of your job and to provide the most practical help to those in need. And it was very valuable. And then outside of that, that's your training. The continued stuff is the drilling. And outside of that, you do drills that we'd be doing at a fire or at mass casualty event. That's going to help the most people. So we stay on top of our basics: stretching hose, throwing ladders, things of that nature. And that's the best way to help the communities we serve. And even and to that point, you said you like baseball, right? So every baseball practice for the last 100 years, everything starts with infield practice, where everyone takes 1,000,000 ground balls before they move on to the next thing. That's exactly how you can kind of use the template for the fire service or the emergency service in general. Start with your basics first, nail them down, then you can go to situational plays after. You know what I mean? So that's the most important thing. But it was excellent training. I had great drill instructors. I had great instructors in the Mass Fire Academy, and the biggest thing that helps me is talking to senior men, people who've done it before me, and trying to get tricks of the trade and approaching them. I was kind of a pest with asking a million different questions, and they were happy to share it. So that helped a lot, you know.
Talking to older guys that know what you want to do is very, very helpful for a lot of different situations.
Oh yeah, and it never stops. I still do it today. Even I still talk to senior firefighters today, because there's senior firefighters out there that are incredible, that are frankly better than I am. And I want to learn to make sure I'm doing the best, being the best me I can be for them, and most importantly, the people that we serve in the community. So
Definitely.
mhm.
What made you want to start both firefighter and Marines?
So I grew up in a family that was very patriotic, that taught me the value of community, the value of history, and the value of freedom, and basically, taught me to be in tune, to serve others around you, and care for others around you. So basically, just serving others. And a lot of that had to do with, again, my upbringing and things of that nature, developing a civic conscience and contemplating it, and then saying, yeah, that's where I fit, and that's the thing that makes the most sense to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
What advice would you give to you as a 30-year-old?
um stay humble, value history, because history is where you learn from your mistakes, and where you can prevent mistakes, and where you can maximize the best you can be. Listen to your teachers, listen to your parents, and ask questions. Ask questions. You know what I mean? And never be afraid to ask a question, because you'll never get, even if it's something like, okay, I want to do this, but I want to do this because I think this is a valuable thing that can benefit everyone. But how to approach it? Sometimes just ask, because you'll never get what you don't ask for. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So don't be afraid to ask, but listen attentively, and and pay attention to what people around you who care about you are trying to tell you, and pay attention to if someone seems like they know what they're talking about, they seem wise, it's for the better good for everyone else. Don't be afraid to ask them. Don't be afraid to ask them, and never stop asking questions. And listen attentively. The most important, you know.
Yeah. Questions are very important because if you don't ask them, you don't learn you don't learn new
Correct.
things. So,
Correct. Yeah.
yeah. So what are you working on now?
Right now, there's several things I'm working on. I've got a, I've got a somewhat of a project I'm working on next. Yeah, it's right now, so I can't really like reveal too many details, but it revolves around EMS and fire service within the city of Leominster and Fitchburg, and yeah, that's basically it. I'm just kind of right now. It's just exploring and figure out how we can best serve those communities with EMS. We do very well. We get a very good EMS service, and our current chief has really taken it to the next level. We have fire paramedics in Leominster that are dedicated just to the paramedic service, and just kind of the foundation block that's already there. Just build off it and see how we can even make it a better service than we've already done. So that's kind of my big thing that I'm working on right now. Other than that, it's just constantly training and trying to learn. I got a class next month that has to do with electrical inspectors, fire inspectors, and building inspectors to get around the energy storage systems for like solar panels and stuff like that. The technology has kind of outpaced the code, and there's several different inspectors who are involved. So we get a class next month to try to get us all on the same page. So I get that going on too. So those are the two big things. But yeah,
Improving the old systems are always good. So
yeah,
even if the fire department is great, always trying to improve it a little bit more. It's very
yeah,
good.
yeah. Exactly. Foundations were put in place to be built upon. So you know what I mean. When the time comes and it feels like we can move forward with anything, it's good to explore. You know.
So do you think that the firefighters is a good job for somebody if they're looking for a job, or like do you think it's just a good job for a person?
Oh, I think it's an excellent job, 100%. You help people. So from the service end of it, you get to come to work every day and help people.
Yeah.
That's incredible. And oftentimes you get to help people in their worst moments, which is very, it's a very valuable service. On the other end of it, there's health benefits, there's salary, and you work under a municipality, which is very good. It's a steady income that you don't have to worry about, compared to, say, like if you did sales for a living, where you always have to build a clientele, and you don't know when one's going to leave and one's not going to. It's very stable. um yeah, and it's on top of all that, it you feel like you did something every day. So that's the other part of it. You feel like you feel that you're providing the service to people when you're helping them, which is something that not everyone gets to say at the end of the day, you know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. That sounds yeah, definitely helping people sounds great. It sounds very trying to think of the word self. It sounds like it helps you a lot. It helps I go to work every day and I help people. And
yeah,
yeah,
that gets you through rough days too. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Some other people don't have that that luxury of, if they had a rough day at work, they can look back and go, geez, you know what I mean? Where
yeah.
teachers certainly do, and we do too. Police officers do too. It's something that we shouldn't take for granted. You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
that helps us get through it when you're able to reflect back and go, you know what, that's good. I was able to help that person today, and so
very self-fulfilling. That was the word that I was looking
yes,
for.
yes,
Yeah,
exactly. Yep, yep, very self-fulfilling. Yep.
yeah. But what were you like when you were 13?
Geez, when I was 13, I was probably a lot like you. I love my sports. I love my music. I wasn't as technologically savvy as you. I'll tell you that much. But no, I was with my friends all the time. I played a lot of sports. And yeah, I mean, when I grew up, it wasn't uncommon. Like we have the cell phones, nowadays. But when I was growing up, my mother's one rule was wherever you go, just call me to make sure that I know you get home safely. And that was really, she was very good, very nurturing. That was the one thing though. If I didn't call my mother when I got to a place, then that's when I'd get in trouble. But we walked everywhere. I mean, we'd walked. I remember walking from my house on Judy Drive in North Leominster, where you lived for a little while, up to Elm Street, all the way on the other side of town, because my friends lived up there, and it was nothing. Now, rode our bikes. We played baseball a lot because there weren't as many rules. You could go to the local little league field and just hit balls, or you could go to local basketball court and play pickup. We were always busy, and it was very, very good. We were active, and we were always around each other. It was great. But as far as like what I wanted to do when I was younger, I remember being a kid, like any kid, and if you've ever seen any type of emergency show, like when I was growing up, when I was a real young boy, it was emergency, what I mean, that they showed. So you explore that idea, and then you get older, and you're like, well, not too many people get those jobs. It's probably not practical. And then you go on. Like I remember at one point, I think at 13, I think I wanted to be a sportscaster. I think that was the big thing. And then you, and then you go on. You go to college for a little bit, and you kind of in college. I was exploring the idea of being like a teacher, or like I was studying. I think I was majoring in elementary education. I think my minor was history, if I remember correctly. And then I didn't finish school, and then I joined the military, and then that's where I am today. And then it's like, huh, this career made the most sense to me. But yeah, so when I'm just a typical kid, I'm playing sports every day, being around my friends, and wanting to be a sportscaster.
Yeah,
So it's kind of it. Yeah,
just to check, are you all good in time? I think I have one more question left.
yeah,
And
I'm good
so,
on time. Yeah,
okay. So we already touched on this a little bit. You mentioned it, but what kind of family were you raised in?
I was raised in a very traditional family. My father is Italian American. My mother is Irish and French Canadian American, and
Yeah,
we lived in a neighborhood. I had one sister. We were we were very close family. We still are, and it was different. Definitely Irish Irish heritage is definitely different than it has a lot of similarities to Italian heritage, and a lot of differences in Italian heritage. I feel like the Irish temperament in general is a lot more easygoing. you know, um, yeah, not as over, just as much love, just as much, but not as overbearing at times.
yeah,
Um, and not my direct family wasn't overbearing, but you see the sides, you get together with the other sides of the family all the time, and it's like, wow, you notice a drastic difference. But very,
yeah,
very well-rounded, and well, experiencing seeing both sides of those cultures, those subcultures within an American family. Definitely, you definitely see every type of emotion and every type of person. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So it's good. But no, it was my upbringing was great. Loving family, a lot of support. My parents were always on the same page, and you know they they taught me to value caring about people, and and freedom. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
that's it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you. That was the last question I had. I really appreciate you coming on this call with me. I really appreciate you answering these questions. Great answers. You're a great guy. I just really appreciate it.
Well, you're a great young man. Keep up the good work that you're doing. It was my pleasure. Thank you for thinking of me. And have a wonderful Thanksgiving with your family. And tell mom and dad I said hello.
Okay, thank you. You have a great Thanksgiving too.
Thank you. Will do, buddy. Take
You,
care.
John.
Yep. See
Bye.
you later. Take care. Bye bye.